Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on your time and your location. This is We Biafra TV. We are live and we are direct. Please, as you join me, I urge you to click your like button, like and share the program. That is the most important thing at this stage or this hour. I see you, my brother Shigozie. Thank you so much for coming. I don't know whether you're always waiting for us. I see you, Peter. From my location, it is good evening to you all as we are sending message to Butozo, Gentle, and all his men that the movement of fighting for a new country has changed. It's no longer the same way it was before, or it's no longer the same way it is in the time of the colonial eras and the power that was being by then. The game has changed at this stage. And on this stage, on this level, on this 2025/2026, is no longer game as usual, but rather the world has moved away. Because in this life that we are living, there is one thing that is very constant in life, which is change. Change is one of the most important thing that is constant as it comes, everything changes. It is very, very imperative for us to understand that the game of the world has changed so much that the world are no longer seeing things or doing things in that way we as the people was doing things or the way we are seeing things. That is why on the issue of Biafra, for anyone that is against us or trying to argue with us on what we are doing and the way we see it, that person, he or her, is wasting his time because the person is not the one that is giving this recognition. Rather, the recognition is being given by the law that guides the international community. They are the one that are giving these laws. They are the one that are introducing what it takes to have a new country. When I say that one thing that is constant in life is what? Changing. This message is going to Butozo, Gentle, and some men that are following them. They are the one. And those who still remain in Bridge, IPOB, for them to know that the time has changed. And now that the time has changed, that what we all have to do is to agree and move towards the changes of the world. It's not it's not how we are not the one that put in this law. We are not the one that even write that in a time that a new country might emerge. We are not the one. And once we are not the one that implementing those laws, our own is to be obedient. Our own is to listen. Our own is to follow as the music is changing. You learn how the pattern of the music. We need to learn the pattern of the music as the new music has come out. We never knew that from 2001 that the law of having a new country has changed. You know, in the past, the law of having a new country must be through military force or military rule. But from 2001 to 2026, the law has changed. They start implementing this law holistically in this 2026. that they are giving laws, giving guidelines, giving criteria, giving protocol, adopted protocol, existing protocol, how you can do to achieve your new country. And when you hear protocol, you cannot dare jump any existing protocol. If you want something, even in a meeting, sometimes we say, let me stand on existing protocol. So, because of we are fighting for Biafra, and we claim that we are Biafra Liberation Army before, or whatever we claim that we are IPOB. The question is, has this existing protocol, is it going to see us and change? Can the existing protocol see us and change? And also, can the world change because of what we are doing? If the world cannot change, if the world continuously wants us to maintain the existing protocol, that is where how we can achieve it. And in this existing protocol of having a new country, they make it openly that the new law for us to have a new country is flexible, is very light, is no longer a heavy way of the law through the colonial eras, through the colonial masters, through the First World War and Second World War, that they have moved away from that, starting from 2001, that the law has moved away. That they have started implementing it fully of the Geneva Convention when it comes to military, UN Charter when it comes to recognition, Montevideo Convention when it comes to the things that leads to recognition of a sovereignty. That all these things had changed. And how do you think? There was a time the highest level of phone that we are using was Nokia Touch. Today, are we still using Nokia Touch? If you think that this movement cannot change, or you go back and continue using Nokia Touch. You know that old modern Mercedes 230. Why do you accept it to buy and have this new model of Mercedes this time around? Why do you accept it to buy a Mercedes of this new model? That is, all these things are proving that the law, that the world are changing. And as the world is changing, we as the Biafran people has to also do what change. In anything that we are doing. Why are you accepting to buy iPhone from iPhone 1 to iPhone 17? Is it not changes? Is it not changes? Akaf, I see you. Chike, I see you. Thank you so much. Good evening from here. So now that the world is moving, now that the world are changing their movement, so we should remain the way we are. The world is doing transition. The same way our movement of achieving Biafra must follow that transition. The transition including all these laws that was implementing all this protocol, all this observe, all these laws, all these rules. We cannot be a full Biafra country without the law of the UN. We cannot. And now it is simply mean that because of their law that we not have Biafra without the existing laws. What are we going to do is the question. I think, my brother Chigozie, that what we have to do is to believe in that law that leads to Somaliland achieving the recognition, one, from the member of the UN. Well, now, if any country again seconded that Israel recognition of Somaliland, believe you me, all they are looking for is over. Because you will first count one before you count five. We must count one for anybody who still remain in IPOB, for anybody who is claiming fallback, for anybody who is whatever you may claiming. I want you to know that there is a time for transition. I can see you. Thank you so much. Yes. And that is the truth, the bitter truth that we are here to give them, for them to know. We are here to give the word, to give gentle Butozo. As you can see on my comment section, we are here to give them that bitter truth that they all shy away from. Because the truth comes at last. Look at it at today, that we have come out to find out the criteria, the easy way for us to achieve Biafra. I told you on this page that countries like Czechoslovakia, country like Denmark, moving away from Iceland, got their recognition, got their independence without one military boot on the ground. What of Costa Rica? It's only in Africa, because of the colonial masters, that will force us that we must go through war before we will achieve our country, before we have that freedom. That is why it took Somaliland many years to come out from Somalia. That is why it took South Sudan decade for them to come out from Sudan. That is why it took decade from Eritrea to exit Ethiopia. That is why it took years before Namibia can exit South Africa. But when it comes to the entire Europe, the law becomes flexible. So today, we want to see if our own is no longer flexible, or if this law, like all we know, that the only people who changed the law in Africa was Great Britain. They changed the law precisely because of you, a Biafran, that you does not deserve what? Self-determination, because of the oil and gas in the old eastern region. That is the only reason why you are seeing all that is happening today. Coming back to gentle Butozo. My message to you, no abuse, no insults, but this message must go direct with the way it is. That is why I said, this my message is from the UN Charter. Article 2, paragraph 4 in bracket. Butozo and gentle, and those who are singing that music. Do you also know that the actions and all these videos that we are showcasing on social media can lead to what? Can lead to Biafra recognition to being delayed. It's very obvious in the history of Somaliland, Northern Cyprus, that white Somaliland waited for 34 years maximum before they can be able to achieve the recognition. Is what? Because the Somaliland used gun and bullets. They fought a brutal war with who? With Somaliland, with Somalia. That is why the word said on the action of their liberation military was why their recognition was so over a decade, was taking so long till today. It is very important, like I told you, we will not achieve Biafra without history repeating. Ọ bụrụ na ama ka esi akpụ ụzụ ya lee egbe anya n'ọdụ. Ọ dị ilu atọ ndị be anyị na-atụ. Ọ bụrụ na nwata amara ụzọ esi eje nkute mmiri, ya soro mpekele eju ka ọ fụ mmiri. The same people wee kwuo si na o buru nwata ụzọ si ite na-ebi ụzọ enwe mkpọmkpọ ite n'ime ụlọ. The same people ahụ sịkwa na okenye aja n'ụlọ egwu anwụọ n'ọgbụrị. That is why all these laws, all this Geneva Convention, all this Vienna Convention, all this Montevideo Convention, all this UN Charter are those history that made up of our own movement at this stage. All this law stands to be all this proverb, these 4 proverbs that I mentioned to you right now. That is what those laws remains. The law remains. The Geneva Convention remains. No, 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 The Montevideo Convention remains. No, they are the moking or what of the Vienna Convention? These four bodies that are 4 in 1 is the same thing that in Ilu Igbo, Ntroketa bukwa 4 in 1 no Igbo. That simply lead to one understanding. In this 21st century, I see you, my senior brother, my father, my Mazi Greg. Good afternoon from here. Thank you so much for being here. It is an evening because it's after 4 on my own location. So, my people, ndị be anyị sikwa na otu ala ji onwe ọla. All this delay, all these distractions coming from here and there, you are doing yourself because no dike ala ji onwe ọla. Ịra dike arapụghị ịlawa. Ije dike n'ala iji onwe gị. Ọ mgbọrọ iji wee rapụ dike aka ka ị ga-eji wee laa n'okwu Igbo. Gentle bute ụzọ. Ihe ahụ unu na-eme, what you are doing is to delay Biafra recognition. What we are doing is to delay the covenant of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu you claim you love. What we are doing is to delay the covenant of Mazi Simon Ekpa Njoku. What we are doing is to delay for us to take over our territory. Butozo, gentle. These are my message to you all. Because the time that we are into is no longer what I think and how I want to do it by myself, but rather how the world that are watching us, that are looking us, are watching us, that are observing us, what they are going to think and what they are saying about us is what matters most. If you think you are calling Donald Trump, oh, gentle will come. I am calling Donald Trump, the president of America. I am calling of Netanyahu. Netanyahu and Donald Trump believe in these laws that was in the Montevideo Convention. They believe in the law that is in the Geneva Convention. They believe in the law that is in Vienna Convention. They believe in the law that is the UN Charter. Moreover, in 3 of them, they are very, very sacrosanct at this stage that they believe on it so much. So for you, coming on social media, to be thinking that what we are doing is the best thing, that is why I'm here to let you know that what we are doing is not the best thing. Rather, you are causing delay. You are causing disgrace. You are broughting your shame upon yourself. It is a high time that someone stood up and tell you people the truth with the law. Can you get Biafra without international law? Can you have Biafra without foreign communities? For how many years do you want to remain inside the bush? When they give you a solution that will bring us out from the bush, you refuse. You want to remain inside the bush. You and the animals will be dragging their territory. You are committing law. You are committing crime against the animals who owns the bush because Chukwu Okabiam give animals the bush and they give human beings house to live. What is that business that you are getting from that bush that you don't want to come out from? And they want to ask you, Buto Donald Trump, did any military supersede the government? Even in this contraction, in this deadlock, in this death sentence called One Nigeria, military, are they not under the government of Nigeria? If I may ask you, Nigeria military, are they not under the Nigeria government? Why are you disturbing yourself? Why are you disgracing yourself? Gentle the Yahoo and Butozo. I'm not talking of all those who are small commanders. Why are you committing crime inside bush? Why are you disturbing the peace of the animals inside bush? Or you don't know that you are disturbing their peace? And you want to continuously living in the bush? Please, sir, Gentle, Butozo, Owam, and Jemekov, because 4 of you always come out to come and give message or do broadcast. It's not in that way, please. It's not in that way. Number one, stop disturbing the peace of the animals inside bush. They are the owner of the bush, not you. Come out. You don't know that our declaration has changed your status. You don't know that the declaration of the USB changed your status from a criminal, from a rebel, from insurgents. You don't know that. For how long did you, Gentle, did you, Butoza, want to be inside bush? The time, the game has changed. You see this inside bush you are into. Don't beg to come outside and the world will tell you remain there. Because this truth, we must tell you this truth whether you like it or not. There is a law. There is a law. There is a law that is guiding a new country. Gentle and Butozo. There is a law that guides a new country that lack international recognition. There is things they want us to do so we can be able to achieve this recognition. Gentle, Butozo and his men. The line you are towing is a line that international law said that they are going to see you as a rebel. They are going to see you as insurgency. They are going to see you as someone who is committing terrorism. Is it what you want for yourself? Maybe it is what you want. I don't want it. Our declaration has changed whoever we are from the IPOB terrorist organization. That a woman comes out today to defend IPOB and claiming that they are the one that make Biafran to be peaceful. Why we, the Biafran people, through the US government, has made Biafran to become peaceful by asking every military, leave that place you are, go back to your territory, go back and defend your state. These are pure truths that a slave woman cannot find anywhere. But it is very important that this thing that we're into, that we all adhere to the instruction. Like our DPM is carrying the instructions, the criteria, the protocol of the UN Charter and Articles and the Montevideo Convention, Geneva Convention, Vienna Convention, and all and more. Remember that the protocol kicks off from 2001, that the world has changed the protocol, has changed the criteria, has changed the law of having a new country. The world has changed so much. So I don't know why you are wasting your time for not seeing this truth and for not standing on the side of this truth that the world wants us to adhere towards it. If you think, Butozo and Gentle, that what you are doing can give us Biafra, why are you calling Donald Trump? Why are you calling Netanyahu? Why are you calling UN nation? Why are you calling United Nations? If you think that what you are doing can give you Biafra, can make you to whatever you think you want to be, then why are you calling them? I am calling on them on behalf from the USD because I know that I need them for me to become who I want to become. But somebody must help you. And that person who must help you will see that you are going on the right track of what them are expecting from you. What of you that are not going on that right track? What else do you want them to do? You think that they will come? I am doing this program because of had I know that will come at last. And the truth always prevail at last. That is why I am giving you this message today from my humble heart. And that I want you to know that everything that we are doing, that the world are watching. And I'm telling you, if you think that all these brokers that we are doing is not being stored, it's being stored on all of us. Hey, for those who on social media and do their shenanigans, the world are seeing there is a free restore in social media that restores every platform in whatever you are doing, depend on the one you are doing. That is why if you go to news, to archive and type political analysis, They will give you those on the political analysis on their line. If you type of those that are doing commedia, they will give you the level of commedia that everybody is doing. Everything is written depend on the criteria of those international community and their free savers. This is what we all must know. Do not panic. Do not deceive. Stop deceiving yourself. Stop doing yourself more harm than good. But I want you to adhere and listen to the truth that will set you and I free. I have already set myself free through believing and through accepting, through acknowledging, through accepting that USB is by through internal sovereignty recognition that I am a citizen of the United States of Biafra. Now that brings me to remember on this page that our code is hashtag I am from United States of Biafra or I'm from United States of Biafra. Please, that is the code on this page. Do you know why? I want the world to be seen through the comment section that we have acknowledged ourselves as a sovereignty before they will come. That is, they call it what? Internal sovereignty recognition. By you writing on my comment section that you are from United States of Biafra is to prove to the world that we have done our part on internal sovereignty recognition. This is what the world wants us to do. And this is where they're looking at us. Can we, on our comment section, always proving that you are a Biafran? Sometimes somebody will come and comment section asking us, where are you from? If we have been putting, I am from United States of Biafra, nobody will be asking us, where are you from? Because through our comment section, the person have already see where we are from. So it is very imperative at this stage. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I see you. Innocent. Thank you. I am a citizen of the USB. Thank you so much. Put it complete. Don't take anything that you are the citizen of what? United States of Biafra. On this junction, I called you, please. If you never like the program, please like and share the program so other people may understand that we are live and we are direct. If Gentle and Butuzo continue remaining in Woto, they are delaying our freedom. I tell you truth, without missing word, without putting sugar or honey. Even if our government distance themselves from them, that is why they must stop. They must stop at this stage. All these chaos they are bringing in. Ignorance is not an excuse in the eyes of the law. Gentle and Butozo. You see that phone, you see that laptop, you see whatever you are using to come outside and broadcast. Please, I urge you to just ask about, type about Vienna Convention, type about Geneva Convention protocol about military of unorganized state. That will help you a lot. If you cannot do it by yourself, let those that act as your second in command in the camp do it for you. So you will read, allow you to play, so you will understand that you are making a very big mistake, that you are endangering yourself without accepting that USB is the only government that created the 40th state of the Biafra, which you are calling. Gentle and the Butozo, if you think that being inside bush, if you think that being inside bush is what you need, Gentle, we, the people of Biafra, that are in the spirit want to come back home, we don't want to join you living inside bush. Because what will bring us home is what? The creation of the USB of our recognition is the most important aspect that will lead us to what? To our own recognition. And these days, in this 21st century, the law that leads to recognition is very, very flexible. It's not, when you hear what leads to recognition in this 21st century, nothing like military woto. Nothing like Chokesi military. That's why I first counted for you. In this era we are living, in this world, countries that are country, after the declaration, there was no single one boot of military. Ask of history of Costa Rica. Ask of the history of Czech Republic. And many more. It's only in Africa that this mentality of being inside bush, claiming military power, it is. But those that are going to recognize you, the Donald Trump you are calling gentle to Yahoo. The Donald Trump you are calling gentle Yahoo. The Netanyahu of Israel that you are calling, they don't want it anymore. They did not value military. They said that military is no longer criteria of a sovereignty. They make it openly that military is no longer criteria of a sovereignty. Gentle and Butozo. That is why I am doing this because of the had I know you will cry. Olushiwago, thank you so much. Triple M, I can see you. Thank you so much. I can see you. Remember the code on this platform. My code is hashtag I am a citizen of the United States of Biafra is my code from now henceforth. Because you hashtagging that you are from that citizen simply mean that the internal sovereignty recognition that you have done that and UN are looking for it also. And there is another way of how they will know. For everybody in the diaspora to accept their ID card, the ID card is number one of the internal sovereignty recognition before external will come. That is meanwhile for those who stand on the bridge side. Without you recognizing the declaration of the United States of Biafra by we, the Biafran people, the world will not. Because they said, we are not going to jump the internal before we go into external. The world make it clearly that they are not going to jump internal before they will join external. They will start from what? From the internal first. That is why we must continue hashtagging. I am from United States of Biafra. That is another way to prove what? To prove that we as the Biafran people have done what? To recognize ourselves. That is what? The internal recognition. That the world are asking us to do what? To do. So before they will come. Have you, in your own way, done the external, done the internal? Have you accepted the internal sovereignty recognition? Because there is a two type of sovereignty. One is internal sovereignty. One is external. External is the one for other countries. Like when Israel recognized Somaliland, is what? External sovereignty recognition. The internal recognition stand with us. That is why they said that after the declaration, automatically, you and your government has become a sovereignty. And they said that sovereignty becomes internal within you until another external body gives recognition. And they said, it doesn't matter what anybody is saying, whatever anybody is doing, that because of that internal recognition, that you are sovereignty on your own, that are a state in waiting for what? The external international recognition. My people, the time we are into is our time as the Biafran people to do what? For us to move fastly, to adhere to instruction, to make sure that we achieve our country. Do not be a stumbling block. Why? The action of Butozo, the action of Gentle are bringing a stumbling block to themselves, not to us, because the world have seen how our government, leading by Dr. Rebeze, are very peaceful. Non-violence movement is who we are. We are not non-violence movement into this struggle, into this liberation phase, into recognition we are. We are past struggle, we are past liberation phase, we are into what? Recognition movement. That is what we are into. So for IPOB on the struggle, let them continue struggling for over a decade. Let IPOB with agitation continue their struggle. But we are in the era of what? Seeking for what? International recognition. Only but one thing that we are seeking, but it doesn't come quicker. It takes time because they must observe us. How we handle our internal affair and our internal sovereignty recognition. These are criteria. These are the things within ourselves. I now ask you a question. What you supposed to do? Have you done your job? If you know you have done your job on the USB, put yes on the comment section that you have taken your ID card or you're on the process of having your ID card. Remember that today the government will come for the issue of the ID card. The government of the USB have to come today to address us about the ID card. If you have taken your ID card, that means that the internal sovereign recognition that leads to international, that you have done it on your own. And that is why you are purely obedient citizen of United States of Biafra. But if you are not, you are also delaying the movement. If going back home is what is hungry you, then rush and pick up your ID card. I said what? Rush and pick up your ID card. Picking that ID card is one of the most criteria that will help us to achieve United States of Biafra as our own country. The UN Charter and Article has warned in this 21st century that nobody, that no country, that no organization on the international global stage will give you Biafra recognition because of the military. Rather, the military will need to be delayed. My people. The military will lead our recognition to be delayed when we are showcasing that muscle, because they said that they do not want to use any force on existing territorial integrity, that they want us to use what? Diplomatic, legal, political pressure. These are three main criteria areas that they want us to use, to adopt. And that is what the USB, leading by Dr. Ngozi Rebels, has adopted. Legal, political, is the number one thing that the world is asking for. When you are asking for that, they now told us that what makes us a sovereignty is what? Population, not military. In 2001 criteria of us having a new country, military is not among at all military force power to exit Nigeria. The world said that they will remove their eyes on us and that we are going to face more consequences and more danger. That could also lead to arrest our leaders. If knocking Woto is part of the thing that leads to arrest Simon Ekpa, why must we continue Gentle and Butuzo? And those who sing Woman Jan music. If knocking Woto is the problem, why can't we change it? Adandoshu. For those who are my angels, men on ground, Biafra Liberation Army. If knocking Woto through Biafra Liberation Army, we get arrest of our Deputy Prime Minister and Mas Simon Ekpa Njoku, delay them. Why do we have to continue in that way? If you claim you want Biafra and if you claim you love them, you love Simon Ekpa, and he was incarceration, and you openly showcasing ammunition, openly shutting people's life, taking people's life away, buying them. And proving that you want to prove yourself. They have paid you to use your action to delay him. That is how IPOB was being paid, to delay Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and today sentence him to life imprisonment. We will not allow any of you. That is why there is nothing the world can use to arrest our Deputy Prime Minister. Seconds, my people. That is why nothing. All of you have tried to indict her. All of you have tried to use one way to put her on behind bars. But she is smarter than all of you. That is why she can last at this moment that we're into, because Chukwu Okabiama mandated that she will be leading us in a very peaceful way, not the way all of you are thinking, not what you want, because what you want is for her to be behind bars and another person will merge, start talking trash. But Obi make it openly that he is going to be the end of this movement. And today, it has been accomplished through our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Ngozi Orebeze. Go and check up countries that have made declaration in the world. You see, I give you Finland as an example. The word Finland was the one that makes declaration of Finland as a country. When the UN comes, what happened? The UN recognized those that make declaration as people are representing the mandate of his own people. That is what Dr. Ngozi Orebeze and the US cabinet members are doing for us today. That is why we must be strong on this path that we are doing right now. Nobody can deceive us anymore. We have understand the truth. We have understand it. Amy Chris, I see you. Shimon Mike, I greet you so much. Thank you so much. You cannot, with your action in this 21st century, indirectly on silent mode, our DPM has, the government of the USB entirely has distanced themselves from Woto Woto. They have distanced themselves from what? From Woto Woto. Because the Woto Woto was what delayed Somaliland. Woto Woto is what delayed people of Kosovo. Woto Woto is what delayed Northern Cyprus. Woto Woto delayed Miami. These are countries in the world. Do not, everything that is happening, the world are keeping eyes on it. That is why we want the world to know that the people of Real Biafra, through US government, we have distanced ourselves from anything violence in the Southeast. It's not in our agenda, and we are not doing that. For those who are doing that, you should look after them. But I want the world, I want UN to know that you see what Gentle is doing is not on behalf of the US government. What they are doing is not on behalf of the US, rather, they are the one threatening the US government because they want to remain in power inside Bush and doing their building inside Bush. We want the world to know that at this stage that we are into, the only thing we want is that criteria you have mapped out for us through UN, through Geneva Convention, through Vienna Convention, through Montevideo Convention, and all the UN Charter and existing and all the protocols is where we are heading to. Let no one be panicked. Let no one deceive you. The way we are is on the right track. And that is what the UN, that is what the world want us to do. Those that are helping to people to achieve their official recognition. I must tell you something, that we all are on the right track through the line side of the USB government. If you're not supporting USB, sorry, you enter one chance and the alo merege. That is the truth. That is what the pure truth that I want all of us to take home today, my people. Butus and Gentle must stay away from these their actions, and what they will do to save their life, what they will do to save their life. And the US government is the only that one that has that right to save you. If you don't want to believe, do not. But if you want to believe, you are free to believe in what I'm saying. I am not forcing you to listen. Neither am I begging you to come and stop my page. Because this truth, the bitter truth must be told. Let no one, like I said, give you what will make your mind to go to that side. It is not true. In this declaration is the only option to the people of what? Biafra. for us to have our own country. So as we move right now into the main deal, you know how we do it? We are going to play the audio of this UN and the Geneva Convention, Montevideo Convention, all the articles. We are going to go towards it. So Butozo will hear what Donald Trump you are calling believe on. Butozo or Gentile will hear what Netanyahu believe on it. There is a common belief. There is a common goal. And they have all put what together. They all put it together. So for you that are not listening, for you that think that thing you are doing there is what will bring Biafra, stop being deceived and face reality.
This is a sophisticated question that touches on the most difficult part of international law: who represents the people in a struggle for independence? If a liberation military refuses to follow the orders of its declared civilian government, like the USB under Dr. Ngozi Orubuez, it creates a fractured movement.
Sorry,
From the perspective of the UN
that is one of
international
tomorrow,
law, that is a precise and accurate summary of the Stimson Doctrine and its evolution into modern international law. You've hit on the central tension between de facto control, power on the ground, and de jure recognition, legal legitimacy. For a nascent state like the United States of Biafra, USB, which was declared by the BRGIE in late 2024, navigating these legal frameworks is the difference between being a sovereign member of the global community or remaining an unrecognized entity. The legal framework of non-recognition, the principle that might does not make right, is codified across several pillars of international law. The UN Charter, Article 2, Paragraph 4, this is the gold standard. It prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. The Montevideo Convention, Article 11, as you noted, this explicitly states that, quote, territory shall not be recognized which has been occupied through the exercise of force. The Stimson Doctrine. This was the historical precursor, 1932, that established the policy of not recognizing international territorial changes that were executed by force. Challenges for the USB and similar movements. Under these rules, if the USB were to attempt to redraw the map of West Africa through military conquest, it would likely face several hurdles. 1. The duty of non-recognition. Other states are not just allowed to ignore the new borders, they are legally obliged to deny them recognition. This means no diplomatic ties, no seats at the UN, and severe limitations on international banking and trade. 2. The principle of uti possidetis juris. International law generally favors existing colonial borders to prevent chaos. To gain recognition, separatist movements usually need to prove either remedial secession, self-defense against extreme human rights abuses, or a consensual agreement with the parent state, like South Sudan or Eritrea. 3. The role of Dr. Ngozi Orubuez and BRGIE. Because the USB was declared from exile, the path to legitimacy usually shifts from military action to diplomatic lobbying. They must convince the world that their claim is based on self-determination, a legal right, rather than conquest. Comparison of statehood paths. Path to statehood. Legal basis. International reception. Military conquest. Force/power. Non-recognition. Per Montevideo Art. 11. Remedial secession. Self-defense/human rights. Mixed. Case by case. E.g., Kosovo. Consensual divorce. Bilateral agreement. Full recognition, e.g., Czechia, Slovakia. While the USB has declared its sovereignty, the international community's adherence to the Montevideo Convention suggests that the how of their border establishment will matter just as much as the why. Would you like to look into the specific legal arguments the BRGIE has presented to the UN regarding their right to self-determination?
I want to play it again. Remember that when we are in Bridgie, that Obatobia sent documents, after our declaration, the same document still goes on. So when you hear Bridgie, you know that Bridgie was the name we was using before we declare United States of Biafra. That is what they call transition. From primary 1 to primary 2, from primary 2 to primary 3, from primary 3 to primary 5. This is how we rose. That is where we are in the movement. Listen to this again. Listen very carefully.
Doctrine and its evolution into modern international law. You hit on the central tension between de facto control, power on the ground, and de jure recognition, legal legitimacy. For a nascent state like the United States of Biafra, USB, which was declared by the BRGIE in late 2024, Navigating these legal frameworks is the difference between being a sovereign member of the global community or remaining an unrecognized entity. The legal framework of non-recognition. The principle that might does not make right is codified across several pillars of international law. The UN Charter, Article 2, Paragraph 4. This is the gold standard. It prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. The Montevideo Convention, Article 11. As you noted, this explicitly states that, quote, territory shall not be recognized which has been occupied through the exercise of force. The Stimson Doctrine. This was the historical precursor, 1932, that established the policy of not recognizing international territorial changes that were executed by force. Challenges for the USB and similar movements. Under these rules, if the USB were to attempt to redraw the map of West Africa through military conquest, it would likely face several hurdles. 1. The duty of non-recognition. Other states are not just allowed to ignore the new borders, they are legally obliged to deny them recognition. This means no diplomatic ties, no seats at the UN, and severe limitations on international banking and trade. 2. The principle of uti possidetis juris. International law generally favors existing colonial borders to prevent chaos. To gain recognition, separatist movements usually need to prove either remedial secession, self-defense against extreme human rights abuses, or a consensual agreement with the parent state, like South Sudan or Eritrea. 3. The role of Dr. Ngozi Orubueze and BRGIE. Because the USB was declared from exile, the path to legitimacy usually shifts from military action to diplomatic lobbying. They must convince the world that their claim is based on self-determination, a legal right, rather than conquest. Comparison of statehood paths. Path to statehood. Legal basis. International reception. Military conquest. Force/power. Non-recognition. Per Montevideo Art. 11. Remedial secession. Self-defense/human rights. Mixed. Case by case. E.g., Kosovo. Consensual divorce. Bilateral agreement. Full recognition, e.g., Czechia, Slovakia. While the USB has declared its sovereignty, the international community's adherence to the Montevideo Convention suggests that the how of their border establishment will matter just as much as the why. Would you like to look into the specific legal arguments the BRGIE has presented to the UN regarding their right to self-determination?
I hope you are listening to this particular from the program is from this article, the UN Charter Article 2, Paragraph 4. On this, the UN Charter, Article 2, Paragraph 4, there is one thing that is very sacrosanct, that is very, very important from the line as you go behind. Those things that leads to recognition and the things that will deny us recognition. Military force in this 21st century will deny us what? Recognition. Military force in this 21st century will deny us recognition. I mean, it will deny us both Africa and Europe and Asia recognition. That is why we don't have to use military force in this 21st century. They said that the law of you having a new country in this 21st century are very flexible. Now that this law is very flexible, and what are those things that make it flexible? There is no military. The things that make recognition very easy, military is not in criteria 10. In the first 10, for us to achieve recognition, that what makes the law flexible and very easily, there is no military force. There is no showcasing, there is no dancing, there is no getting of military and training in social media. It is not among it. So, I don't know from where they are getting this narrative. Ignorance in Africa is not an excuse in the eyes of the law, and we, the Biafran people under USB, refuse to accept this ignorance of these men on ground. The law said, no more woto. You know, like I said, The legal framework of non-recognition, the legal framework, listen, the principle that might does not make right in conflict across several pillars of international law. Israel is a member of the international law. Netanyahu, Donald Trump is a member of the international law. Gentle Butozo. Their law is not that thing you are doing inside that bush. The law of the international community are not that thing you are doing inside that bush. It's not being staying there and your makeup. Donald Trump, J. Netanyahu, UN, Nigeria is paying us. You think they are fool like you? You think they are ignorant like you? You think that you are the one that give the law? When America was fighting their own freedom, have you asked what the military of America did? Ask yourself, what the military of India was doing when their leader was taken away. Ask of when country like Kenya, what their military was doing. Have you? You are only representing the action of the Congo military that betrayed their leaders, refusing to accept the declaration of Congo, and holding Molumba house arrest and hand him over to enemies. That is the action of all of you that you're creating social media. Power mongers. You want to. But the truth remains that this truth must be told to you. If you learn today, if you change today, better for you. I am here to prevent you from Hadaino, and I am here to prevent you for the ignorance of I don't know. It's not an excuse in the eyes of the international community. Listen, the UN Charter, Article 2, Paragraph 4. It is the gold standard. It is a gold standard. It prohibits the UN in this 21st century that started in 2001, gentle. It prohibits the threat or using of force against territorial integrity or political independence of any state. It's against you. It's against what you are doing, the law of those you are calling Donald Trump, Netanyahu. It's what you are calling them for. What you are doing is what the law prohibited. What are those things? The law prohibited threatening or using force against Nigeria in this 21st century. The law prohibits using force. The law prohibits you. All this you are threatening to one Nigeria. The law prohibits us to do that in this 21st century. Look at how they address the world. The UN Charter, Article 2, Paragraph 4 in brackets. This is the golden standard. It prohibits the threat of using force against territorial integrity or political independence of any state. The world said they don't want us to use military woto. That they have, you remember prohibition. Remember when they forbid you to do this. Do you want for them to say, we forbid you to use force? That is why they use prohibition. That there is nothing that they have prohibited you from using for us to use force to move away from Nigeria. The world said that they are no longer using it. Now, on that law that the world prohibited, on that law that the UN, on that law that AU, on that law that EU, on that law that's Commonwealth, on that law that any organization or the countries in the world believe on, is it on that law that they have prohibited is on the law. You are calling Donald Trump to intervene. Stop deceiving yourself. Gentle, Butoza, Angel Makeup, and the OWAM. Stop deceiving yourself and pay attention to the bitter truth. Pay attention to what the world wants us to do. Pay attention to what they want us to do for us to achieve Biafra as a country. The Montevideo Convention, Article 11, as you noted, the state that territory, this state that territory shall not be recognized, which has been occupied through the exercise of force. That if we, as the Biafran people, achieve our country by Nigeria military, chase them away by our own force, that the world will not recognize us. Is it what you want to know? If you really said you are fighting for Biafra to be a country. Gentle, if you are really fighting for Biafra to be a country, the world are telling you that with all this you are dancing, showing military, throwing gun on air, is rubbish. It's absolutely prohibited. They said that if we use force in this 21st century to get Biafra, that we are going to stone our own. Imagine when the world abandoned us. No transaction to the international community. No country to do business with. Is it what you want? Because this your action is that thing they said that in this was first century, that if any country comes to organize us when we use by force, that they are going to sanction those countries with their power. Even in the 1960s/1970, even in the 1967 to 1970 Biafran War, Ivory Coast was being sanctioned somehow. Those 4 countries in Africa that recognized Biafra was being sanctioned somehow. And you still want us to go to that road again. How? How, Gentle? If you, like you have chosen not to be a hero of USB, of University of Biafra, they are declared, it depends on you. But we are not going to toe that line that you have told. We have already exist Nigeria peacefully. Remark this word clearly. If any territory shall not be recognized, if any country is using force, military woto to exit another state territorial integrity, the international community will not arrest, will not recognize those countries. For you that are supporting them, this is the words. They type on your phone. What did the Montevideo Convention, Article 11, says about using force to exit from another country? Type and find out. These are the law that guides you. These are the law that guides the world. You cannot jump above them because they're already an existing protocol that we need so much. That's going to help us. I don't know where we are getting the narrative of what we are doing, what we are saying social media, but it's a high time that all these things are being changed. It is very imperative that the state that we are into, that we all understand what we are doing. Let's continue. The Stones and Doctrine. This was the historical pressure, 1932, that established the policy of non-recognition, international territory challenge that we execute by force. That if we use by force to achieve Biafra, that they are going to put us on where? Non-recognition state. If by force, if by woto, is what is going to put us on the level of non-recognition. They adopted the law of non-recognition of existing country 1932, and they leave it to No, that is not living, because that is why people a country like Kosovo, Northern Cyprus, never gain recognition from any member of the UN till today. Is this the kind of country we want us to have? Gentle. What kind of Biafra are you building? A Biafra that will not be a party or a body member of the international community. And we, as the people of the UAB, says no. That is why the government understand it. That if we try to use this force, Robert Obie said it openly, that after our declaration, that if you are expecting him to come out to be knocking woto, that you are deceiving yourself. That he does that in that beginning, to draw attention of the world, and it has happened. That attention he draws leads to him to be arrested, put in prison in Finland. And we must stand on that route, that when he said that after declaration, that nobody should fly, that nobody should shoot one bullet in Biafra anymore. That the legitimization of Nigeria will take a due process, but this will surely happen. Today, the world values a country on a diplomatic, political, legal, is what the world values so much. That is how they want us to build our country. Chibos, good morning, good evening from here. Chibos, Chidwe Emmanuel, also good evening from here. Before we go into the challenges of USB on this issue of having military, on this issue of what they are doing, listen to this.
That is a precise and accurate summary of the Stimson Doctrine and its evolution into modern international law. You've hit on the central tension between de facto control, power on the ground, and de jure recognition, legal legitimacy. For a nascent state like the United States,
the jure is what we, the Biafran people without military, are possessing. That is what we are possessing to get recognition.
States of Biafra, USB, which was declared by the BRGIE in late 2024, navigating these legal frameworks is the difference between being a sovereign member of the global community or remaining an unrecognized entity.
I want to show you something. Look at my screen. The time we come in a small days, we will be playing it for all of us. We'll be hearing it. We'll be seeing it. Look at the screen very well. That is what I am reading. That's why using the audio that I use on it. Look at it here. Look at it. I want you to see. On this particular issue, there's something I want them to remain. I want to remind to their mind that everything is on digital, and the world is recording. The world is what recording all our actions and what we are doing. The world understand. The world understand what? For an instance, a state like the University of Biafra, USB, which was declared by the bridge. Is it not on bridge when we declare Biafra USB? The world understand. For you that is claiming bridge. And who is the head of the bridge that declares it? Dr. Ngozi Arabueze, Nwokoko. Gentle and Butozo. Biafra was declared November 20, 2024. We entered plane called bridge to went to Finland. As we are coming back, we come back with United States of Biafra that was declared by bridge. Now, look at it here. Bridge will be put in brackets as a structure that we use to make a declaration. Whether like it or not, the world have adopted it on their archive that we use organization called bridge to declare United States of Biafra. Like people of Namibia using SWAPO to declare Namibia as a country. We are not the first. I'm not going to be the one. After the declaration of Namibia, what happened? They collapsed it as they stopped using it as a government. Rather, they use it as a party name. They use the name. Namibia use SWAPO. They use it as a party name. On that party name, they are producing those that are ruling Namibia. The woman that was formed this name today, she is the president of Namibia. The same name that is on the same party name is from where he got his vote and becomes a president. The world knows the truth. In the archive, the truth are there. Just be there, deceiving yourself, proving that you are not matured, that you don't know your left from your right. Transition from Bridgie to United of Biafra. Bridgie is where the world has put on archive in our history that we use a name called Bridgie to make declaration of what? United of Biafra. Bridgie was the organization, but USB was the country. USB is the country. I hope we're making common sense, my people. This message is going to Gento and Butozo. They are one I'm sending this message to. So please share if you never share. If you never like the program. Because I don't know from the page they are going to get the program. The corner I was using to send a message had been blocked before. Because I was on ground before I left. Which year that I left on ground. So I know what I'm talking about. Gento and Butuzo, listen to what the Netanyahu, Donald Trump you are calling. Listen to what Donald Trump wants you to do. Listen to the area Donald Trump wants you to work on it. Listen to what the UN you are calling. Listen to their criteria and their law that will serve you. Listen again. Biafra, USB, which was declared by the Bridgie in late 2024, November. Navigating this legal framework, it is the differences between being a sovereign member of the global community or remaining an unorganized entity. The difference, without the declaration, we are what? We remain as an entity. But with our declaration, we remain a sovereign global country that are seeking for what? Recognition officially, my people. This is how the world has put our recognition. See it here. See what I am reading. You can see. It's under my research about the Geneva Convention. Geneva Convention is a real law that guides everything about military and declaration. When the military refused to be obedient to the government of the USB that was used the name Bridgie, gather our people together to make a declaration, the world see them as something which I have do the program yesterday, and also we are still going on to that. Please like and share the program, because I don't know how this message will go to them. But all I know, through your like and your share, in any group you are, they may get the message. The legal framework of non-organized, the principle that might does not make right, the principle that does not make right is a conflict across several pillars of international law. There is what these men are doing that does not on the criteria of the international law. Using force is no longer met the international criteria. But non-force is what meets the criteria of the international community.
The legal framework of non-recognition, the principle that might does not make right, is codified across several pillars of international law. The UN Charter, Article 2, Paragraph 4. This is the gold standard. It prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state.
Are you listening? For those who think that, oh, it's only it's only by men on ground that we can take over our territory. Donald Trump, you are calling Gento and Butuzo and Owam and Njemekov. I have always seen two of you in your video. Donald Trump, Jay, Netanyahu. Look at what they are telling you. That's why I'm sending a message to you, two of you, to tell your boys that you are on the wrong movements all this while. That you are doing the wrong thing. You are not doing the right thing. That is why it is very imperative at this stage that you all have to understand where we are, what we are doing, and what the world wants us to do. And the most important part of it is that what we are doing is what the world wants us to do, not what I want to do by myself. It's no longer like that. So that you are thinking of, hey, Donald Trump, come on, Netanyahu. Netanyahu will not come if you are not maintaining this legal framework of getting recognition. Rather, you are maintaining a legal framework of non-recognition for USB or for other in our movement. Flores, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Amen. You say, thank you. Please, I beg for like, because I want the message to go to Gentle and Butoza. Gentle and Butoza, why do you choose on the path of the legal framework of non-recognition? Why do you choose on that path? Why? And those we are calling, choose the way they want you to do. Now, when you call them, they will come. How can you do that? Only in the USB that has the power. That those that make declaration, you had it here. This time around, the only program we'll be doing is issue of this military. As in the hot, we'll be using international law to be debunking Butos and teach I myself the little thing I think I can do. Yes, USB, the online country. The USB online country. There was a time America was online country. There was a time South Africa was online country. There was a time India was online country. There was a time Ethiopia was online country. There was a time Congo was online country. There was a time every country in the world was online country. Thank you. Think we are afraid? Oinechi? Yes, I am from online country. United States of Biafra. That is where I'm from. Very proud of it. Because I know the criteria and how other countries have achieved their own. I know. That is why I'm very proud to let you know that I'm happy to be online country. Let me give you a little history of those that was online country in Africa. So you will know that I am very proud to be an online country. Let me give you a small expo before I go, my people. When we see them, we give them what they deserve. In our book, we have it here. Look at from here. Do you see from here? I put this line. These are online country. In Ethiopia was online country, 1963 to 1941. Algeria was an online country, 1962 to 1958. Angola was online country, 1975. Check the history. Guinea-Bissau was online country, 1973 to 1974. Madagascar was online country, 1975. Namibia was online country from 1980. Zambia was online country, 1980. Eritrea was online country, 1983. These are online countries that have happened in Africa. This is how they started. When Great Britain was handling your Nigeria was first online country. Go and check the history. We come with evidence and with research. Let me also tell you this. Let me give you another expo so you may go and research. Let me give you another one expo. A country that woman declares in the world. Let me also give you that. And I will tell you how many numbers. You go and search. Look at it here. 14 countries. We have a book of research. We keep it ready. Look at this. Look at here. You see this arrow? From here, 14. They are online woman was declared it. Brazil was declared 1822, September 2nd by a woman as a country. Israel was being declared 1848 on May 14, a woman. Congo 1960 by a woman. Ghana 1900 by a woman. South Africa 1963 by a woman. Belarus 2020 by a woman. Madagascar 19, I have given it to you. What of Namibia? All these countries was online country, and a woman declares it. Yes. The woman that gives you, the man that gives you Nigeria, Loluga Ofaracha was a woman also, was with his girlfriend. Yes, so the woman that created the man that created Nigeria come and he created your dead country called Nigeria with who? With his girlfriend, Wamugu. Nigeria was being declared by a boyfriend and a girlfriend. You are Nigeria. 90% amalgamation was done by Frederick Lugard and Flora, which is her girlfriend, Wamugu. Come. That is how it happens. Bring another word. Let me reply you. But let my message go to those I'm sending it direct to. Nigeria was declared by a man and a woman, a boy and a girlfriend officially. That is how Nigeria was being declared. In the history of the amalgamation of Nigeria 1914, it was done by a woman, a man and a woman, girlfriend and boyfriend, all the way from Britain, a white man. Talk of this one, even though they're boyfriend and girlfriend, and they are from the indigenous people. Why can't I be happy and appreciate them? If it happened that Ngozi Arabeze is a girlfriend to my Simon, but they give me Biafra as an Igbo man, as an Biafra, not by a white man, Wamugu. You value the one that a white man gives you. Come and write nonsense. If you have my time, those who are deleting and blocking people, Onyinye Nweke deserve to be blocked and deleted out. My people, Gentle and Butozo, please stop. You are endangering your life. Chukwu Okabiama allows you in this your second return. The spirit of Biafra bring you back for you to change your step, change your words, and listen to the international law. The UN Charter, Article 2, bracket 4. This is the gold standard. It prohibits the threats or using force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. Gentle, after our declaration, Dr. Ngozi Arabeze, the Deputy Prime Minister, has moved away from using military by force to exit from Nigeria. In the new law of 21st century that started from 2001, that is going to end in 2100, they said on this new law that they prohibit us from knocking Nigeria woto. They prohibit us from showcasing arms and gun in the social media. That is why our DPM has distanced himself from this particular journey of using military to fight for a new country. That is how it is. No more. There is no more using military to showcase that you are fighting for a new country. Rather, the world has told us that we should go through diplomatic, that we should go through legal. That is what the world asks us to do at this 21st century. And that is why I am calling on you to stop all this your shenanigans that is no longer needed in this movement that we are into. It's no longer needed in this movement that we are into. What we need at this stage is what? They need us to go through diplomatic movement. They need us to go through legal, which is what our DPM, which is what the USB is doing right now. They are on the gear of what? Diplomatic, legal. That is what in this 21st century they ask us to do. And for we, as the Biafran people, we are not going to move away from this part of the international community, because that is the only way, and that is how the world wants us to move. It is very, very imperative that we must continuously doing the building of what? The international global community that is going to give us what? Biafra. That is the area that we have to go. So my people, listen to something as I just do the needful in a small time.
The Montevideo Convention, Article 11. As you noted, this explicitly states that, quote, territory shall not be recognized which has been occupied through the exercise of force. The Stimson Doctrine. This was the historical precursor, 1932, that established the policy of not recognizing international territorial changes that were executed by force. Challenges for the USB and similar movements. Under these rules, if the USB were to attempt to redraw the map of West Africa through military conquest, it would likely face several hurdles. 1. The duty of non-recognition. Other states are not just allowed to ignore the new borders.
Are you hearing something? That if USB trying to use force to restore their map in the Western map, or our flag, that the world will not going to do what? Recognize us. Now, if you try to use force, that the world is not going to recognize us. So when you see our DPM, don't think that she is doing something that nobody has been done before. What she is doing is a criteria that will lead us to international recognition. So, what are they saying here in the contents? That this way Nigeria is right now, that we don't need, after our declaration, we don't need to go and face Nigeria, knocking them woto, using gun and bullets on Nigeria. The world says no. That we need to leave Nigeria, they will remain where they are. That we need to focus on political, diplomatic, and legal aspect of it to achieve recognition, that we chase Nigeria away finally in our territory. We are not only the countries that have done that in the past. When people of Namibia was fighting from South Africa to have their country, South Africa was occupying all the territories of Namibia. What happened? Namibia stopped knocking woto. 6 months to their declaration. What happened? After their declaration, they maintained peace. They refused to chase South Africa away at all. What did they focus? They focused on the having recognition. They focused on the getting diplomatic approach, getting legal approach, getting political pressure on the world that leads for them to be recognized by the UN. Immediately they was recognized from member of the UN. What happened? South Africa withdrew their military and everything and walked away from Namibia. And today, they have their country within themselves. Today, they have their country. When South Africa was fighting apartheid regime, the history of Nelson Mandela, when Nelson Mandela was arrested, what happened? A woman lead the movement. In the apartheid regime, a woman who lead that movement withdraw from knocking woto to South African government. What happened? They achieved the apartheid regime, and that is how Nelson Mandela becomes the president. Because of what? Political pressure, diplomatic and legal. The UN said that after our declaration, that they know that Nigeria is occupying our territory. But we must go in due process. We must go on the criteria. That's why I'm telling Gentle that Gentle, this way you are going is what UN said on the Montevideo Convention, Article 11. That if you try to continue on this aspect, that they are not going to recognize Biafra as their country. And they will tag you terrorists. They will tag you rebel. They will tag you insurgency. And they will allow you to Nigeria to deal with you before Biafra will become a country, before recognition. Is it what you want? The use of force has been prohibited. The law from 2001 that will end in 2100 is 21st century. Then we enter 22nd century. In this 21st century, no more armed struggle. No more knocking woto woto. The world has prohibited it. For the people of Biafra, we must stand on our government. Peaceful exit through diplomatic, legal, and the political words pressure. These are the areas that the world wants us to go in. These are the areas that the world wants us to use as this state that we are into. Do not panic. Do not care about what anymore. The law has changed. Our people said in Igbo days, no na-eme egwu ọfụ apụta. Ịgba mbọ ka ịmụta ụzọ esi agba egwu enwamba egwu ọfụ a. When a new music comes out, you learn how to dance through the drums of the music. Is it not true? The world has changed. If you don't accept that the world has changed from using military as sovereignty or as a nation, to understand that the world has changed from that to population, territory, and all of them, that it is why it's very important at this stage that we must adhere through what? This is the new law of the UN. And I am very happy that our government of the USB has adopted all these new laws, all this existing protocol that will give us recognition. Non-violence. It is true. You know that, let me tell you the truth. Owazwike was been saying, but the only way Owazwike was out of what we are doing, that there was no official declaration of Biafra. That one that Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu declared is no longer inactive. It's inactive. What will make it active is re-declaration. But on this issue of non-violence, in this issue of no woto, that is the way that the world are looking for us to achieve Biafra in this 21st century. Nobody will stop us. We are the only one to do what? To continue moving our movement. We are the only one that will continue to approach the world, and through our actions, the world will see that we are no longer using words, woto. He had it here that if we try it, we are going to look like people of Northern Cyprus, people of Kosovo, people of we are going to suffer like Somaliland. Do you want us to suffer like Somaliland, waiting for 34 years after their declaration? Do you want us to suffer like Somaliland? For me, I said to Fiakwa. That is why we have to adhere to the proper instructions. We have to follow these criteria. We have to follow all these templates of the world so we can be able to achieve our country. We can achieve what? Recognition. Like every other countries in the world. Like people of Algeria. They achieved their own from abroad and their country. I prove it to you. People of Algeria was in exile in Cairo, Egypt. When Egypt wanted to hand their government over to government of France, they run into Tunisia. They stay on Tunisia, make the declaration, they remain in Tunisia until they achieve recognition, they now come back home. Christy Biafra, thank you so much, I can see you. Thank you so much. So it's a time that we all face the reality. And the truth is always bitter. Those are on the right side. We must continue on what we are doing without panicking. That is what we must do. Let us go to comment section and see our people. All the group are the ones who does not want Biafra to come. GOS Nigeria, everyone claiming to be a Biafran. Yes, so please, you can ask our brother. You can see the comment from our brother, Christy Biafra. Then Christy Biafra, we have changed our code. I see you, Shiwen Dunwikuku. Thank you so much. We have changed the code on this platform. The code is, I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. I am a citizen of where? United States of Biafra. Hashtag, I am a citizen of United States of what? Biafra. That is our code on this platform. Mami Ngozi, thanks so much. I can see you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Are legally obliged to deny them recognition. This means no diplomatic ties, no seats at the UN, and severe limitations on international banking and trade.
Are you hearing it? That if we, after our declaration, that we continue to use military force in the hands of Nigeria, that the world will not, they are not going to recognize us. Thank you so much, TC Biafra. That is our code. Thank you so much. I hope you are listening from the office of the UN. This is from the UN Charter. And the gentle will come and call UN. Gentle will come and talk about Donald Trump. Gentle will come and call Netanyahu. Netanyahu are the one that they all agree in this law. Netanyahu agree in the law. Netanyahu agree in this law that they are not going to accept us if we continue on the military force. That is what Netanyahu is telling Gentle and Jacob Owam. That is what Donald Trump is telling you. That is what Netanyahu believe on. Have you seen them coming out to condemn the laws? They all agree on this existing protocol of the world. They all agree on that. So stop deceiving yourself and start putting yourself in shame. My message to Angel Makeup, to Owam, to Butozo, and to Yahoo is the message I am sending here through UN Charter, Article 2 in bracket 4, in paragraph 4, is the headline of this program, and that is where we masterminded our program today.
2. The principle of uti possidetis juris, international law, generally favors existing colonial borders to prevent chaos. To gain recognition, separatist movements usually need to prove either remedial secession, self-defense against extreme human rights abuses, or a consensual agreement with the parent state, like South Sudan or Eritrea.
Are you hearing it? South Sudan make declaration. Eritrea make declaration. So, on this, the mandate of our declaration is also, they call it what? Remedial secession, self-determination. And the word said that they prohibit us to use power, to use military, to use gun and bullet to exit from Nigeria in this 21st century. That is why they told us they have criteria that we have to follow. And in criteria to achieve recognition is what? To prove sovereignty is what? Population of the people of Biafra, number 1. Like on our comment section, we have only one Judas among us. Out of 36 or 76, in the comment section, we have only one Judas. That is how you know them. This is how you do what? You know them. But it's very important that you and I understand that we have done our, when you accepted USB, you have done what they call internal sovereignty recognition. That is why the name University of Biafra must be everywhere in all social media. It is very, very imperative at this stage that we are into, that we all understand it. We have only government by USB government. So on this principle of the UN, nobody is allowed anymore. They give us the option. They said that the option that we have to go, that the obligation is what? Diplomatic ties, legal movement, political pressure, media pressure. These are the more criteria. It's 8 criteria, 4 on this side, 3, 4 on the other side. On these 4, one of them denied, said, for us to achieve recognition, no more armed struggle, no more using force to knock Nigeria, that we should go on what? They said that the obligation that leads to recognition is what? Diplomatic ties, legal movement, political pressure, and the media pressure. These are what they asked us to be doing, and that is what United States of Biafra government is doing. Is it not true? They on this 8 criteria that leads to recognition, no one that military force come into, no one men on ground come into. They did not bring anyone that bears in this 8 criteria. As we heard it here, there is nothing like military or men on ground or knocking water. But what do you have? We have 8. Let me count 8 for you. The first one on this movement is what? Permanent population, number 1. Number 2, defined territory. Number 4, effective government. Number 5 is what? Capacity. So number 4 is capacity to sign treaty and agreement. This is number 4, one side. Then the other side is what? Diplomatic ties, legal movement, political pressure, and the media pressure. These are the 8 criteria. These are the 8 criteria. No other one was being attached to it in this 21st century. But if it was in the time of the colonial era, you have right to use military. Before 2020, you are free to use. Sorry, from 2001, nobody is allowed to use military again. Military is no longer a way to prove a sovereignty. From 2001. That is why Belarus, from Russia, they did not use military, but they used diplomatic, legal, political pressure, and media pressure to achieve their own country. Yes, so, Ushe, I am from Odumegwu State. That is where I'm from. And you are my brother also. Thank you so much. Thank you. We are here to give a little voice on the little things we research to our people for us to know the truth. Thank you, my brother, for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you. So let us continue. No more. No, say no to military force. Say no to use force to chase Nigeria away. Belarus did not use force to chase, imagine almighty Russia allowed Belarus to exit on 2020. What did the Belarus use? They use diplomatic ties. They use what? They use legal. They use pressure, political pressure. They use media pressure. That is why we're letting our voice. That is why I will tell you when you come that the code on this platform is what? Hashtag I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. The word to call it what? Internal sovereignty recognition. We are not talking about Ngozi Orebeze, but we are talking about international law. We are talking about Simon Ekpa. We are talking about international law. We are talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We are talking about international law. We are talking about criteria for us to have Biafra as a country in general. 2 days ago, I did a program under the UN that there is no amount of agitation or claiming struggle that will make the UN or that will make the world to recognize IPOB as a Biafra, as a sovereignty, as a new nation. No. And why? They say lack of declaration, which they can never achieve it in their entire life. When you know the truth and you refuse to abide by it, you are inviting the words of God in your life, weight of God in your life and your family. So be wise and do the right thing. Yes, that is message to Butozo and those that are following them. Please, as you join me, hit the like button, please. Because, and anytime any Biafra who believe in USB or who believe in our movement is watching this program, anytime it's come to your YouTube or to your Facebook or anywhere, please endeavor to like and share this program. That is how you can help me to make it very easy for us. It's very important. That's why I urge all the Biafrans to do the needful at this stage. I beg all of you. I beg you seriously, because this message, if you think that this message is worth being like the program. If you think this message is worth being shared, share it, because I want it to get to Gentle and Butozo. Do you know that knocking Woto Woto will delay our recognition? Knocking Woto Woto will delay our recognition. Our enemies outside and inside are crying blood heavily day by day. Yes, so our enemies cannot stop us. They have tried. They have tried hard, thinking they will be able to stop us. They will never. Because we are on the last, they call it that we are on the done deal. The international community said after declaration, seeking to diplomatic and legal political is what? A done deal. That declaration make it what? A done deal. The declaration makes it what? A done deal. Biafra is a done deal. Forget those shenanigans. Now, listen. What USB is doing.
3. The role of Dr. Ngozi Orubueze and BRGIE. Because the USB was declared from exile, the path to legitimacy usually shifts from military action to diplomatic lobbying. They must convince the world that their claim is based on self-determination, a legal right, rather than conquest.
A legal right rather than what? Conquest. Using force on Nigeria. The world said that USB, you don't have to do that. That is why I'm happy. That is why I am a proud online country called United States of Biafra. Yafubago Funobi. Be pained about it. Do I care about you? I care about my people. My people cares about me, and USB is only solution to end every cry, to end every pain, for us to become fully sovereignty. The role of Ngozi Orubueze that used Biafra government in exile, Bridge, to declare Biafra from exile. The part of legitimacy is usually shifted from military action to diplomatic lobby. It has been shifted from using military to diplomatic lobby. It is no longer military. They must convince the world that the claim is based on the self-determination, a legal right, rather than conquest by military. It's no longer the time to use military to knock Woto Woto. You on your own. No. Sorry, yo. Sorry. It's your name. Sorry, that. Butozo, sorry for thinking that Woto Woto is what will give us, thinking that I am a military from office of the General Butozo, who Nwokoko, Wimbe. Can let them, you are so-called Butozo come and do lobby now. Gentle. Why can't you come outside, fly to America and start doing lobby? The world has been prohibit you to use gun knocking on Nigeria. They said no. But on the self-determination, if they come on our zone, we must defend our life. That is what the youth government is doing. That is what Biafra Army is doing right now. That is what United of Biafra military is doing. When Nigerian government comes in, we use our defense to. That is when the self-determination is involved, not to showcase it on social media. And when you see the Biafra government presenting military, you see how they present them. No noise. Just talk to the world. For the world to know that we have military. The only thing that needs the picture or the video to be outside is also to show to the world that we have military that are controlling our territory. That we have what? That we have military that is controlling our territory. This is what the world are looking for. This is what the world wants us to do. This is how international community will answer Gentile and Butozo. This is how international community will answer Makeup and Owam. Not by coming and doing that shenanigan we are doing. The world will see you as rebel, as insurgency, as that you are committing terrorism. Run away from that. Change. Change is one thing that is constant. Now that the world has changed, why can't you change? Now that the world has changed, why can't you change the question? Change. That is why today people are no longer using Nokia Touch. People are no longer using Nokia Touch. People are no longer using Mercedes 230, that old model. People are no longer using Volkswagen because it's a change. The world is changing. From iPhone 1 to iPhone 17 Pro Max in 2026. Why can't you change? And that my brother is here. I see you, brother. Thank you so much for coming. Zima, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can see you. So the world is changing. Even sometimes, that old Yamaha machine, are they still driving it? The old Yamaha machine, and who is driving it again? Every time, every year, new things are changing. You cannot change. You want to remain on that old track you are. Gentle, change. People are no longer using Nokia Touch. The old Mercedes are no longer there. Michelle, I see you. Good evening from here. Thank you so much. Those things that you are doing, the world said that in this present 2026, that if USB try under the UN Charter Article 2, Paragraph 4, that if you try to use that that they are not going to recognize us. They give us an example. Northern Cyprus. They give us an example. Somaliland, that was just by law that Israel recognized them. They give us an example like Kosovo. They give us an example like Miami. These are four. They give us an example that because of Woto that they did 2001 is why they was being delayed, and some of them has never achieved it. It is very important for us to know this truth, and this truth will set us free. Sorry, my people, we are going to play it again without saying a word. So, Gentle and Butozo, we got this message clear.
That is a precise and accurate summary of the Stimson Doctrine and its evolution into modern international law. You've hit on the central tension between de facto control, power on the ground, and de jure recognition, legal legitimacy. For a nascent state like the United States of Biafra, USB, which was declared by the BRGIE in late 2024, navigating these legal frameworks is the difference between being a sovereign member of the global community or remaining an unrecognized entity. The legal framework of non-recognition, the principle that might does not make right, is codified across several pillars of international law. The UN Charter, Article 2, Paragraph 4. This is the gold standard. It prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. The Montevideo Convention, Article 11. As you noted, this explicitly states that, quote, territory shall not be recognized which has been occupied through the exercise of force. The Stimson Doctrine. This was the historical precursor, 1932, that established the policy of not recognizing international territorial changes that were executed by force. Challenges for the USB and similar movements. Under these rules, if the USB were to attempt to redraw the map of West Africa through military conquest, it would likely face several hurdles. 1. The duty of non-recognition. Other states are not just allowed to ignore the new borders, they are legally obliged to deny them recognition. This means no diplomatic ties, no seats at the UN, and severe limitations on international banking and trade. 2. The principle of uti possidetis juris. International law generally favors existing colonial borders to prevent chaos. To gain recognition, separatist movements usually need to prove either remedial secession, self-defense against extreme human rights abuses, or a consensual agreement with the parent state, like South Sudan or Eritrea. 3. The role of Dr. Ngozi Orubueze and BRGIE. Because the USB was declared from exile, the path to legitimacy usually shifts from military action to diplomatic lobbying. They must convince the world that their claim is based on self-determination, a legal right, rather than conquest. Comparison of statehood paths. Path to statehood. Legal basis. International reception. Military conquest. Force/power. Non-recognition. Per Montevideo Art. 11. Remedial secession. Self-defense/human rights. Mixed. Case by case, e.g., Kosovo. Consensual divorce. Bilateral agreement. Full recognition, e.g., Czechia, Slovakia. While the USB has declared its sovereignty.
Listen, positive, and tell you something. Czechoslovakia make a declaration. There was no military action. They got recognition. Kosovo, with military action, no recognition. Which one do you want? Which of these do you prefer for this movement? I myself, I prefer no military action, get recognition like Czechoslovakia. Recognition like people of Czech Republic. Czech Republic got recognition. Belarus get their own because of what? No military action. So for me, I want no military action that gives me international recognition. Gentle, that is what I want. I don't want to yawoto that will not give me recognition. So now that the US has been re-declared, now we have re-declared Biafra as a sovereign state again. No more woto. Why can't you ask yourself, why did Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu knack woto and there was no recognition? Because not even in the present law, in that old law, why? And that man who knack woto was the one who opened mouth and said that Biafra will come from diaspora. In diaspora, are you going to knack woto? Who is your hero? Who is your mentor? Who is your forefather? Your number one forefather is Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. He said, no, that Biafra will come from abroad. So now that the changes has happened, why are you still wasting time?
The international community's adherence to the Montevideo Convention suggests that the how of their border establishment will matter just as much as the why. Would you like to?
Justice matters, legal matters, diplomatic matters in this movement. So my people, that is what I have for today for Biafran people. This is my message to Butozo, Gentle, and those who believe in woto. All of you are putting yourself in danger, not US government and not Zonozo Rabeze. If I ask you this question, what was the main exact thing that Simon Ekpa was arrested for? What is that thing that Obato Obie, Simon Ekpa Njoku, was arrested for? It's not because of knocking woto. And how do you want us to continue on that stage of knocking woto? That today, that the world said, we prohibit any group that are knocking woto. That they did what? That they prohibit somebody for using woto. How do you think on this 21st century that when you come and you continue knocking woto, that is going to save us in anything at all? Now that you have seen from today that knocking woto brings more danger and this delay our movement so much, why can't we stop and do the right thing? Why can't we stop and do the right thing and they build the building of those that are given recognition? Gentle is not given recognition. Owam cannot. I have searched and researched and researched if in this 21st century, if there is only because of the action of the military, we can get recognition, the world says no to that. Now that it is official that the world says no, that they don't need to get recognition, what are you doing? Why do we have to do that? Why are the world? And the world said that we have shifted from military time to civilian citizen time. That what gives recognition is what? Population, divine territory, effective government, capacity to sign agreement. These are four. The other side, in second side. Number one side, they said that what recognition is what? The diplomatic ties, legal, political, and the media pressure. Which one are you doing? Are you putting the media pressure? So on this junction, we have opened our line for 20 minutes. If we are going to be playing our documents and the UN charters, but if call comes in, we are going to pause and accept those calls. After that, we move. That is how we are going to run the program right now because we are becoming on the closing hour. So please, if you know that you want to call us, the number still remain plus 97 33 60 51 337. That is the number to call. Plus 9 7 33 60 51 337. That is the number to call in case if you decide to call us to also put your voice on this program. If you think you have the time, you can call the number only through WhatsApp. So from there, Biafrans will hear your voice. And you can also send a message direct to the Butozo and Gentle for them to know that in this era, that everything has changed, that we are no longer in the era of that thing they are thinking, but the game has changed because one thing that is constant in life is what? Changing. These are the things that are very constant in this life. To change. And the world is changing. Why are you not changing? The world is changing. Why are you not changing? Why are you remaining in that old way of your life? You must change. Because this change is what the world are looking for. And this change is what gives us Biafra as a sovereign state. This change is what leads to what? Our international recognition that we all are crying and seeking for us to go back to Biafra land and maintain our country. We must know the truth, and this truth must take us out from the lies and all this thing that is happening. Nobody will arrest any of our leaders anymore. Because of what? Because the government has adhered to what? The government has adhered to the international community and all their movement. That is why it is very, very imperative at this stage that we all understand the importance of our declaration, that this declaration is what gives us the right to do what we are doing today. And after that declaration, there is no more wasting time because the world have understand that we have choose to live under what? Remedial secession. I said under what? Under remedial secession. In this present time, military is not a way recognition. Military is not a way to give you what? Recognition. The world has prohibited using military to achieve a new country. The world has prohibited using military to achieve what? A new country. Who are those words? That is international communities. Those that are doing what? Those that are giving recognition. Special AJ, please join us. The code, our second code on this page remain hashtag I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. That is our code. Hashtag, I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. Do you know why? It's part of the self-internal sovereignty recognition that we on our own has recognized our country as this is where we're from. That is why it is very, very imperative at this stage that we all understand the importance of where we are. It's no longer doing it anyhow. Please, we must give ourselves that particular recognition that the word said, you must do what? First, recognize yourself before coming to me. You must have a name, so when you come, I can identify you by your name. That is what the word asks us to do. And that is why it is very imperative that we as the Biafran people continuously doing that. There is no panic. There is no other law behind it. That is why it is our right to recognize ourselves as what? As a sovereign state before other countries in the world. Sorry, we come to recognize us as a sovereign state. There is no two ways. We have only one way. That way remains straight. That way is very focused. And we must focus at this stage that we are into. We must do what? Focused. Stand on the side of the United States of what? Biafra as our own country. We don't have two countries. We have only one. And we also have only one government, which is by Dr. Musa Rabeze, United States of Biafra, is the legitimate government of people of Biafra. Nobody will change the fact. Nobody will change the fact. The fact remains what? That the world has moved away from military as first step of sovereignty. Rather, the world has moved into what? That a population is what they care so much about, not looking for woto anyway. It is obvious openly today that if we continue on woto through the article of the UN that they are not going to give us recognition, they will abandon us the way Kosovo, Northern Cyprus, and Somaliland was being abandoned for many years before they came back to achieve their what? Their international what? Recognition. It is very imperative that we understand it clearly. Having military showcasing their arms and everywhere, we make it more difficult for us in this 21st century. Listen to this.
In the 21st century, the path from military action to international recognition is extremely difficult. While groups often manage to seize territory, turning that battlefield victory into a seat at the UN is where most fail. As of early 2026, here are 3 significant examples of how these efforts have played out. 1. The de facto success, but de jure failure Somaliland. Somaliland is perhaps the most stable example of a group that achieved military victory, but lacks recognition. The action. After a brutal civil war in the early 1990s, they broke away from Somalia, established their own army, currency, and democratic elections. The outcome. For over 30 years, they had zero recognition from UN members. However, a major shift occurred recently. On December 26, 2025, Israel became the first UN member state to formally recognize Somaliland. The lesson. Even with 30 years of peace and a functioning military, they remained invisible to the world until a major power, Israel, saw a strategic reason to recognize them. Most of the world, including the US and EU, still officially views them as part of Somalia. 2. The total military defeat, the Tamil Tigers, Sri Lanka. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, LTTE, are the warning story for secessionist movements relying on military strength. The action. They built one of the world's most sophisticated insurgent militaries, including a navy and a small air force. They held a large portion of northern Sri Lanka, Tamil Eelam, for years. The outcome. In May 2009, the Sri Lankan government launched a massive military offensive. Because the LTTE was labeled a terrorist organization by 33 countries, no one intervened to save them. The group was militarily destroyed, and their leader was killed. The lesson: military power without global diplomatic cover makes a group vulnerable. Once the international community labels a group terrorist, other countries often provide the existing government with the weapons and intelligence needed to wipe them out. 3. The client state trap: South Ossetia and Abkhazia. These regions broke away from Georgia with the help of the Russian military in 2008. The action: they used military force, backed by a superpower, to expel Georgian authorities. The outcome: they gained recognition from Russia and a handful of other countries, like Venezuela and Nicaragua. The danger: as of 2026, these regions are not truly independent. Because they lack wide recognition, they are 99% dependent on Russia for their budget and security. The lesson: if a new country gets recognition from only one side of a global conflict, it often loses its internal freedom and becomes a puppet or client of its protector. Comparison of outcomes, 21st century. Group/region. Method: recognition status, 2026. Primary challenge: Somaliland. Military defense plus democracy, 1 UN member, Israel. Seen as a threat to Somalia's integrity. Tamil Tigers. Conventional and guerrilla war. Failed. Defeated in 2009. Labeled as terrorists. No global allies. South Ossetia. Military plus superpower support. 5 UN members. High dependence on Russia. Seen as occupied. Tigray. Ethiopia. Armed rebellion. 2020 to 2022. Failed. Peace treaty. Massive civilian cost. Forced back into the state. What this means for the USBBRGIE. For the United States of Biafra (USB) to move beyond a declaration, international law suggests they would need more than just military refusal to work with Nigeria. They would need a patron state, a major country to sponsor them, or proof of remedial secession, proving they are being targeted for genocide and have no other choice but to leave. Would you like me to look into which specific international organizations, like the UN or African Union, have commented on the BRGIE declaration since 2024?
I want you to understand one thing. Gentile and Butozo, on this particular session, you had it clearly. How many countries who have lost the recognition because of exactly what we are doing today in social media? That's why we are calling on you on this message. Stop. And look at the word said in this 21st century, that if they monitor and find out that it still continues happening that way, that the world will be from above labeled you terrorists, and they will give Nigeria whatever they want to level you down. Run for your life. Run, oh. No be juju. On this junction, we close this program for today, and we come back again tomorrow. So I thank you all in the comment section. I thank you, Professor AJ. I thank you, Anthony Ilo. I thank you, Zimai. I thank you, Christy Biafra. I thank you. I greet you all, Tina Wan, and everyone in the comment section, please, because of our time, we are not going to read everybody's comments, but I thank you so much for being here. I thank you for all you do, and remain blessed until we come back tomorrow. It's no longer in the era of woto. Rather, it is in the era of what? No more armed struggle. Diplomatic movement, legal movement is what the world asks us to do. They said it here. A country like we are declared of, like USB, have to adopted all these laws for us to achieve recognition. In a movement of getting recognition, nothing like military. In the criteria of the international law in this 21st century, for us to seek our own country, nothing like that. So my people, Gentle and Butozo, listen to this last message. I will play it again because of you. And after this, I will close this program. Sorry, my people. I want you to go more once again. So Gentle and those that supporting military, for you to know, that you are bringing destruction to Butozo and Gentle. All of you are championing them. All of you are showing them on social media. You are bringing destruction to them.
In the 21st century, the path from military action to international recognition is extremely difficult. While groups often manage to seize territory, turning that battlefield victory into a seat at the UN is where most fail. As of early 2026, here are 3 significant examples of how these efforts have played out. 1. The de facto success, but de jure failure Somaliland. Somaliland is perhaps the most stable example of a group that achieved military victory, but lacks recognition. The action: After a brutal civil war in the early 1990s, they broke away from Somalia, established their own army, currency, and democratic elections. The outcome? For over 30 years, they had zero recognition from UN members. However, a major shift occurred recently. On December 26, 2025, Israel became the first UN member state to formally recognize Somaliland. The lesson? Even with 30 years of peace and a functioning military, they remained invisible to the world until a major power, Israel, saw a strategic reason to recognize them. Most of the world, including the US and EU, still officially views them as part of Somalia. 2. The total military defeat, the Tamil Tigers, Sri Lanka. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, LTTE, are the warning story for secessionist movements relying on military strength. The action? They built one of the world's most sophisticated insurgent militaries, including a navy and a small air force. They held a large portion of northern Sri Lanka, Tamil Eelam, for years. The outcome? In May 2009, the Sri Lankan government launched a massive military offensive. Because the LTTE was labeled a terrorist organization by 33 countries, no one intervened to save them. The group was militarily destroyed, and their leader was killed. The lesson? Military power without global diplomatic cover makes a group vulnerable. Once the international community labels a group terrorist, other countries often provide the existing government with the weapons and intelligence needed to wipe them out. 3. The client state trap, South Ossetia and Abkhazia. These regions broke away from Georgia with the help of the Russian military in 2008. The action? They used military force, backed by a superpower, to expel Georgian authorities. The outcome? They gained recognition from Russia and a handful of other countries, like Venezuela and Nicaragua. The danger? As of 2026, these regions are not truly independent. Because they lack wide recognition, they are 99% dependent on Russia for their budget and security. The lesson? If a new country gets recognition from only one side of a global conflict, it often loses its internal freedom and becomes a puppet or client of its protector. Comparison of outcomes, 21st century. Group/region. Method, recognition status, 2026. Primary challenge, Somaliland. Military defense plus democracy, 1 UN member, Israel. Seen as a threat to Somalia's integrity, Tamil Tigers. Conventional and guerrilla war. Failed. Defeated in 2009. Labeled as terrorists. No global allies. South Ossetia. Military plus superpower support. 5 UN members. High dependence on Russia. Seen as occupied. Tigray. Ethiopia. Armed rebellion. 2020 to 2022. Failed. Peace treaty. Massive civilian costs. Forced back into the state. What this means for the USBBRGIE. For the United States of Biafra USB to move beyond a declaration, international law suggests they would need more than just military refusal to work with Nigeria. They would need a patron state, a major country to sponsor them, or proof of remedial secession, proving they are being targeted for genocide and have no other choice but to leave. Would you like me to look into which specific international organizations, like the UN or African Union, have commented on the BRGIE declaration since 2024?
There is one serious message. That is why I come back. Gentle, listen to the history. A country was being mentioned here. A country, the total military defeat to Tamil Tiger is a country. They use guerrilla warfare like you inside bush. The country they are fighting to exit from, did what? They tagged them terrorists inside the bush. And what happened? They sponsored the up to 13 country. Up to 30 country tagged their military terrorists. And what happens? They help the existing country they are fighting for, give them weapon. What happened? You had it here. That there was leveled and the leader was spied. Gentle, Butozo, be very careful. It's your life. I am calling for you to be alive. I am reminding you that the stage that we are into has passed what we are doing. And the law in this 21st century is not on the side of you. Guerrilla warfare is what they used. But look at what happened here. They destroyed and leveled them. And they told us here clearly that any military without official diplomatic support is rebel. And who will get this diplomatic recognition is USB. That is why it is very imperative for you to be very careful on all you do. My people, the message has synced. Until you come back tomorrow, this time around, our program is on issue of military. Butozo, we will keep on sending you message until this message get to you, because the time that we are into is very, very sacrosanct. The world has changed their ideology. The world has changed their law. Gentle, Butozo, change. Change. This your narrative is in nowhere. Ignorance is not an excuse in the eyes of the law. My people, thank you so much. From here, I will say until we come back again tomorrow, my people. Bye for now. Till tomorrow again.